español o en inglés?
Yo creo que en
En
inglés.
inglés, okay.
Sorry, voy a preguntar las preguntas que todo el día has
No, it doesn't
preguntado.
matter. It's fine.
Okay. Okay.
I will try to answer in a way that you've never heard before.
Great. That's gonna be good. Okay. So let's start. Um, my first question. So, what is the main thing that attracted you to doing this role? Not overall, but the one thing that just kind of got the spark.
Well, I think the uniqueness of the project, which for me, lies in this urge that Scott Derrickson, our writer and director, um, has to speak about his obsessions. I think that it is unique because Scott has something to say, and then he chooses the best way to say it, and that's why his movies within this genre, the horror genre, are so interesting because they're character-driven movies. So the conflicts that the characters have to solve and the experiences that they go through are truthful, regardless of the gimmicks and the tricks and the scary moments and he, his his characters are trying to solve something that we can easily relate to, and you care about these characters. And when I read the script, if you even if you took the 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 horror label, supernatural label off of it, it would still be an interesting story. And I think that that's the key. And I'm attracted to that. I'm attracted to the interesting stories that speak as any other story about greater subjects of the human condition.
So, when you were doing your research, I'm sure you took your time, to do a little bit.
Mhm.
Is there like a certain event in particular that was really like shocked you or caught your attention?
Well, the thing is that Scott told me when I finally signed on to the project, he gave me a book and told me, I, I just want you to read this book, and nothing else, and then I will show you visual documentation that I have, and that's all I want you to do. And of course, I thought to myself, well, he might be exaggerating in trying to protect me because I still want to do more research, especially in terms of the whole exorcism, subject and all that. And then he said, I don't want you to do that because there's a lot of dark content out there and a lot of bullshitters, and I don't want you to get caught up into that. And I thought that he was, just trying to be overprotective. And then, however, I obeyed, and I said, okay, perfect. I'm going to read the book, and then I will continue my research. As I thought, new questions would arise, so I know I would do my own thing. And the book had 5 cases, and I couldn't get past the second case. It was so terrifying and so horrifying and so scary that I couldn't. Then he was right. The book was about modern uh, possession, demonic possession cases or demonic possession cases in the modern era, and whether those stories are the product of an ill imagination or a mentally ill person or the result of, of, of the attack of any exterior evil forces. It's definitely horrifying, and that was something that made me really become respectful of this type of material.
Okay. So, how did that help you prepare for your role as being the priest in this case?
Well, the thing is that I walked into this with a lot of respect for this subject matter. I mean, I never took it lightly. I never took it for granted. I never anticipated that any of the things that we were going to speak about were untrue or were unreal. I would not claim that they were completely real, but I didn't dare to say those things don't exist. I mean, that my research made me very respectful of this. So I walked into it with a very open mind. and so I walked out. I cannot, as I've said before in other interviews, I cannot deny nor claim the existence of something that I don't fully understand. you know, and especially, and I took it seriously because I was playing the exorcist, so I was the one who was going to say those words and who was going to invoke those hardcore names, and then I took it, I was very respectful about it.
So how did you prepare? I know you sort of answered that, but any other ways?
Well, I mean, I put focus. I mean, once I had covered, in a way, the Exorcist part of it was the least of my worries, because that is an activity that is there already. That is, I mean, there are the prayers and there are the rituals and the rites of exorcism. They're very very specific. So, and any priest, who gets his bishop's permission, can go to the Vatican and go through the seminar or the exorcist course and then become an exorcist. Now, what it was important to me, and what had to be unique, is who this man was. I mean, who the man behind the priest title was. I mean, why would he not only wanted to become a priest, but also why would he want to become an exorcist? So those questions were more important to me than just how the rites of exorcism work. So I put my focus on that, and I did, and my research. The thing is that there's very important information that I cannot discuss with you now, because then I would ruin the movie for you. But on that information I put my focus to. This character is a very tormented character, so I put focus in trying to understand his torment.
So it's a dark character.
It is as dark as you and I. It is just as a sinner as you and I. So it's a character who understands darkness very well, who understands light very well.
Do you enjoy playing dark characters?
Yeah, very much. I mean, I think that uh, uh, the fascinating thing about the human condition is the amount of darkness and the amount of light that we all have. So more than playing dark characters, I enjoy playing, characters with contradictions and characters with different layers.
Were there any pranks during filming, being a horror movie,
Hmm.
among each other and the crew?
A lot. Can you repeat?
Were there any pranks?
Uh-huh.
I mean, being a horror.
Pranks. Not really, not really. But there was a lot of support, and of course a lot of sense of humor around the shoot. But we had a great time. We had a great time, and we all became friends. We're all still very much in touch. So yeah, we were very lucky that we got along so well.
And do you have any upcoming roles coming up, projects that you're working on right now?
Yeah, well, I just wrapped a movie called Hands of Stone, which is based on the life of Roberto Duran, the Latin American, the Panamanian boxer. And I wrapped that about 3 weeks ago. I was lucky enough to have Robert De Niro as my trainer in the movie, so I have Raging Bull on my corner, and Usher plays Sugar Ray Leonard. So we had a great time. I mean, I'm very excited about that movie, and I also have a movie called Libertador, the Liberator, about the life of Simon Bolivar, like the equivalent of George Washington in Latin America, that is also coming out this summer. It's a
Okay,
period
so
piece.
you kind of answered my following question. Like, what were you doing for like the Latin America community? I know it's probably in English, but
Yeah.
is there anything you have coming up for like the Latin America community, the Spanish speakers?
For sure. I mean, Duran is bilingual, and Bolivar is also. I mean, Libertador is also bilingual. I mean, it is both in English and Spanish spoken. Yeah, yeah. And there's also Spanish in this movie, in Deliver Us from Evil.
Oh,
There's
so
a,
wait to hear you
yeah,
speak
for sure.
Spanish.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
Great. One question I want to ask. I know you. I understand you passed a role in Amores Perros.
Hmm.
Um, due to circumstances you weren't able to take it.
Hmm.
But how did you feel of the success? Like you kind of missed out on it, but the success of that movie.
Yeah, well, I feel great. I think that movie changed the life of many people that I feel very fond of. I mean, I'm very good friends with Guillermo Arriaga, who's the writer of the movie, and also Alejandro González Iñárritu, who's the director. But by the time I passed on the role, I wasn't an actor, so I don't see it as a passing. I just didn't uh, envision or foresee the opportunity because I wasn't an actor at the time. I was a journalist at the time. So when the movie came out, actually it encouraged me to follow and to pursue an acting career. So I see it as a great thing.
You're covering my following questions. I was gonna ask you, when did you just like you knew when acting was your calling? Because
Mm.
obviously you weren't doing that since
Yeah.
the beginning of university.
Yeah. Um, I've always felt, attracted to the world of performing arts. But as a journalist and specialized in political communication, I wanted to do many other things and never really. I mean, I would lie if I said that it was a kid who grew up dreaming to be in the movies. I wanted to do something different every day, which ultimately, has a lot to do with becoming an actor. But yeah, definitely when I met Guillermo Arriaga, and he suggested that I should become an actor because he had seen me in a short film in a university contest, like university festival. That's when he suggested that I should come to Mexico and meet the rest of the people and try to be to be in the movie. Um, Around that time when the movie came out was when I made the choice and said, you know what, what's the worst that can happen? Go, let's try to do it, and then I'm streaming, giving a shot at it.
Fascinating. So, is there like a Latin figure you look up to, you admire in particular?
Mm. There are many Latin figures. I mean, it's so many. I mean, all the way from Simon Bolivar, who I had the privilege to portray in the movie Libertador, all the way through Frida Kahlo and Cruz Diez and Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who recently passed. I mean, there's so many people. Ruben Blades, who's an amazing Panamanian singer, who's actually a good friend and who also plays in Hands of Stone. Um, there's so many um, there's so much that the Latin culture has given to the world. That we could spend an entire interview just naming the people I look up to within the Latin world.
Okay. And more on the political part,
Hmm.
being from Venezuela,
Hmm.
correct? How do you feel about these casualties going on
Yeah.
over there?
No, it's really sad. I mean, it's really sad that it has been so difficult for us Venezuelans to reach consent and to understand and recognize each other. I mean, that should not happen. I mean, regardless of which side you belong to, we're talking about Venezuelans, brothers and sisters who have been, victims of political intolerance, and it's very sad. I mean, I really hope. I mean, right now things are coming down and they're getting better, and there are tries, and attempts of reconciliation, and of course I would always bet on reconciliation and negotiation and understanding. I mean, we really need to foster encounter among Venezuelans.
When was the last time you were there?
In February.
So you still have family there?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My family. I live there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah,
So that's your home
yeah,
still.
yeah.
Great. So I have a question.
Hmm.
You speak 5 languages?
Yeah.
Is that correct? So, as someone that speaks more than one language, this might be like a random question.
Hmm.
Like when you think, when you study, when you do your research, how do you think? Do you think in English? Do you think in Spanish?
Mm. It,
That's my
dep- it depends. It depends the movie or the character that I'm playing. If I'm playing an English speaking character, normally I do it in English, or if it's French, I do it in French. If it's Spanish, I do it in Spanish. Um, on my daily life, there are certain things that I do in one language and some. For example, my second language is German, and for some reason I count in German. I mean, if I have to count like people for the table, I go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know why I resort to to German when I count, and then when I when I'm surprised or I go to Spanish. You know, when I'm pissed, I go to English. I don't know. It's but it's there's no there's no like, I don't know why. I mean, there's no pattern. It just happens that way.
Oh, well, I know that, like I said, random question,
Yeah, yeah.
random question. And then just to wrap it up, on a mellow day, relaxing day, what do you do? I know you're sounds like you're busy, ongoing,
Yeah,
going, going,
yeah.
but what's your
Well,
hobby? What's a relaxing thing you do?
very, it's, I guess like very regular, normal stuff. I sleep. I watch television, which I can't watch very often because of the work, and there's a lot of great television out there, so I try to catch up. I read something that you know that gets my attention at the moment, or depending on where I am too. You know, if I'm by the ocean, then I try to go there, try to exercise or do something different. You know, if it's available for me in that location. Yeah, I don't have, I can't have a downtime routine because my life changes all the time. So I try to do, you know, what's the most relaxing thing available to me.
Great. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Okay, bye.
Appreciate the feedback.